Welcome to the podcast where sustainability gets real. I'm Alan Stenson, I'm your host, and in each episode we uncover the people, ideas and actions driving the journey to net zero. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Emission Possible, the podcast where we explore the people, the ideas and actions helping to drive meaningful change in sustainability, business and beyond. Today's episode, I'm joined by David Faulkner, the chairman and CEO of Redditch United Football Club. David is leading a club that's actually far more than just football. It's a strong community institution, and under David's leadership, the club has also taken meaningful steps on sustainability, including measuring its footprint, putting a carbon reduction plan in place, and actually taking the necessary steps to be certified as carbon neutral, which was a major thing for the club. What makes this conversation particularly interesting is that it shows sustainability isn't just a conversation that belongs in the big corporate businesses or huge Premier League clubs. It's something that can and should matter at community level too, where leadership, identity and local impact all come together. David, I'm absolutely delighted to have you on the pod. Welcome to Emission Possible.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the chat.
It's going to be good. So we're going to dive straight in. For those that might not know about you or the club itself, it'd be really good to get an understanding of your background and your role at the club. So maybe if you could start by giving us a bit of a breakdown of your journey and how you came to be involved with the club itself.
Yeah, I've always been involved in football. I think like everyone aspired to be one, and that didn't work out. So you've got to find a different route quite quickly. My working background predominantly was in education. So I did quite a lot of coaching, obviously in and around football. And I used to run, as part of my role, I used to run education programs at the football club. So that was a big part of my introduction to Redditch United and non-league was through education pathways. And eventually had the opportunity to, become chairman and take on the full responsibility of the club, which was 6 years, July, I think that was. Wow. It's been a roller coaster journey ever since.
Oh, I can imagine. What was it that made you want to take that leadership role?
I think the opportunity. Our football club, it's 1891 founded, so it's one of the oldest football clubs in the country and the world. It's got a huge and growing population, and so if you look at for me, football clubs often revolve around like a fan base, and with Redditch being a new town, we've got quite a big population, but a lot of them don't necessarily identify as being from Redditch because quite a lot of the population have moved into the town, and I think that's a fundamental shift that's now happening. And I think the identity of the town's changed. So we've got quite an opportunity to try and grow, the fan base that way.
Yeah, fabulous. And when you think about the club today, what is it that you would want Redditch United to stand for, in years to come?
Quite simply, the town. We've been quite open from day one. My very first interview I did at the club talked about getting the town on board, and effectively we've got a pretty simple status: is if you want the town to support us, then we've got to also support the town and be part of the town's positives, negatives, issues, and try and move the not only the club but the town forward as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's really important socially as well. I mean, a lot of clubs talk about community, but I think that's really part of Redditch United's identity. So I think that really comes across. Is there a particular role that the club can play in terms of that, or within the local community?
Yeah, I mean, it's my bugbear when I'm always speaking to councillors and politicians around us is for a town of nearly 100,000 people, there's not really a lot here, and so. Right. We are one of the biggest attractions in Redditch. We look at events that we hold, they are the biggest that the town holds, which when you relate that to other towns of our size, it sounds a little bit ridiculous. So we've got to help to promote. The one thing the town's always had is sort of like a sort of downplays itself or runs itself down. I mean, the ditch is a a common sort of nickname for the area, which doesn't bode very well. But how can we raise aspirations? For what we're doing, and I mean, we've just had our last game of the season this year. We partnered. So our principal partners at the club are Reddit, which is a huge global organisation, and
Yeah.
we had a load of their staff, including their founder and CEO, with us. We put on a music festival. We had street vendors. We had like a whole host of things going on the day. And it was a huge event that attracted lots and lots of new people. And that's something that people would say maybe can't happen in Redditch. Well, yeah, it can, and we've made it happen, and hopefully we're going to continue to do that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic. Moving on to sustainability, because I know that's obviously something that's really important to you. What was that? What was that like for you? What made you want to take that so seriously within the club? Because I mean, for those that don't know, you guys have, you're walking the walk when it comes to positioning the club, understanding what your impact is, from a community perspective, but also environmentally. What was it that drove you to take that so seriously?
Well, one of the big things that you get out of the club is we very much monitor and assess our social impact. So last year, we've run a social impact report for the last 3 years now. But last year we had a bit of support from the FA, and we created a lot more stats and numbers. So last year's report stated that we had a £3.9 million of social value to the town, which is a phenomenal figure. And when you put it in perspective, way surpasses quite a lot of teams in the Football League. We're just in the process of writing this year's report, and I can't tell you because it hasn't been published yet, but that number's going north naturally as we continue to grow what we do. And so as much as we've got a positive impact within the town, we also are aware that we have an environmental impact in the town. So it's about really for us being able to show both sides of the coin, understanding that, and doing what we can to help it. And I've said this very, very openly. This is not for us. It's not just about environmental polar bears and trees, and it's not just that. This football club is over 130 years old, and it can't die on my watch. So a big part about this is sustainability of our club is huge, and a big part of this is it's financially sustainable. That if you look at sort of short, medium, and long-term goals, then you can make the club as sustainable as it can do. And I think so many football clubs are guilty of only focus on this weekend or this season, or actually. I came into this with a sort of 10-year plan, and so when you start looking further afield, little things like changing the lights in the changing room are always on. You put a PIR sensor in that might cost an electrician for a day and a few £100 to get some PIR sensors put in, and then they haven't been left on for the last 6 years. It's just a little, it's a very little thing, but when you start thinking longer term, it's an absolute no-brainer to get them things done.
Oh, exactly. And then, the benefit for you guys is that you're doing that in relation to an overarching understanding of exactly what that impact is. So yes, it's a little thing, but that's actually forming part of your carbon footprint, and by how much. So you can start to track these things and understand the differences that you're making and the positive results of taking action. So I think that's fantastic. And I mean, I know you've obviously progressed on further than a lot of other clubs, but do you think this is something that should be more embraced in terms of community-focused football rather than just the bigger clubs?
Yeah, I think it's that. I mean, if you look at the football club as a business, which it is, it's the same for any business as well. It's something that I think if you told me that we'd achieved this certification even 18 months ago, I wouldn't have understood because I didn't really understand what it was and the process. Yeah. And it sounds far bigger than it actually was in terms of it. And, getting the report done and like sort of ticking off some of these boxes and also setting a plan for the future. Although we're now offset carbon neutral, we want to be net zero. So what does that look like? And, we're targeting to be able to achieve that. And so it's just sort of breaking those barriers down, really. And I'd say for anyone, it starts off with a survey to tell you where the gaps are, and then you see what you can do from there. And I can't believe what we've managed to do in the last few years to move that forward. And we are quite fortunate. We've been, a football club that we've had different pots of funding from the FA and the Football Foundation. We've been quite fortunate locally that we're part of Worcestershire County Council that have also had some sort of net zero funding. So some of the sort of hardware on site has now fundamentally changed. And, that funding then, rather than looking at a payback period of, say, 8 or 10 years, we're looking at it going, right, that's a payback period on that investment for now it's, say, half or whatever it might be. That's been a big help. But my understanding is certainly within football, it's being pushed a lot more, and also just any business around the country. There are these bits that are available to help point you in the right direction.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And what I like about that is that you're, unlike a lot of organizations or clubs or anything who talk about sustainability but don't necessarily go to the extent of doing it as properly as you are. So, the fact that you're taking steps to measure and evidence your impact, where it's coming from, tracking that, setting clear decarbonisation targets, and taking all the steps that you should be taking to ensure that you can have a successful journey to net zero, I think is really the difference. What, in terms of for you, what did you feel like that process felt like? Was that something that, I know you mentioned obviously 18 months ago you wouldn't have thought you'd be able to do that, but was that more difficult than you thought, or was it easier than you thought, or how did that process go for you guys?
If I'm honest, for me personally, it was very easy because we've got a great staff team here, and I'm personally a massive data person. But in this instance, I wanted to know the outcomes, but I wasn't the one crunch numbers at the start, and so we had a few of our staff that have been really behind this, and also our accountants have delved into numbers and checked out energy usage and even down to payroll bits and where people are travelling from. So there was quite a lot to dig into. That, I'll be honest, I didn't personally do it myself, but I don't believe it was too onerous, and we got the report out there relatively quickly. And then again, once you've got those numbers, you've got a start point. You know where you can go, and then bizarrely things then don't seem as scary as they did at the start. And that's the bit that I'll keep banging the drum on. This is not it's not impossible, but unless you start the process, you never know where you are. And it might be that for a lot of organisations, they're far further ahead than we were at the start. So I would imagine for most organisations, this is not, it's probably an easier journey to it than we've managed to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that you're taking and capturing the data and understanding it and using it, it starts to move the conversation from sort of vague ambition to real action and clarity in terms of what you're doing. And I know it was a major aspiration for you to achieve carbon neutrality as a club. We believe you're only the second club to actually achieve certified carbon neutrality, which is a major moment. I think. What did that mean to you guys in terms of getting that milestone?
Well, when you know me, you'll understand that second's not as good as first. So I was a bit annoyed about that bit, but let's say we're the first non-league club. I don't know.
There we go.
The first obviously sounds better. The first sounds better. Although I think Forest Green have actually dropped back out. They've actually back out of Football League now. Right. So yeah, they are also in the non-league. Whether they're still certified, I don't know. I think for Forest Green, a very well-known story. With Dal Vince as a chairman there, it's almost more of not a political stunt. That makes it sound bad. It's not that, but it's a bigger identity. It's like we want to be a carbon neutral football club, even down to the menu on match day and that sort of stuff. And for us, it was more just part of our journey. But yeah, it's a very proud bit that everyone can associate with, and it's something that like the community piece. I think a lot of football clubs use that word, but would struggle to evidence too much of it. A lot of businesses talk about environmental impacts and talk about how they can save different bits, and a lot of it is not backed up, and we can
Yeah.
now back that up, and it's something that all of our supporters are aware of, all of our partners are aware of, all of our players, right from 5-year-olds up, are aware of, and it's just something else that when you talk about Redditch United Football Club, and I'm a big believer that we're over 130 years old, and we've got a history wall in our entrance in the hallway, and it goes back to 1891 and all the different key moments that have happened. This is definitely one of the biggest achievements that we've done as a football club, and it's something that'll always be there. And hopefully, it'll become normal for a lot of football clubs. This will be something that a lot of football clubs, a lot of businesses it become the norm. But at the moment, it's not, and so we're really proud to put that out there and keep banging that drum.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the approach as well. I mean, you mentioned it there. It's part of your journey. It's part of the process, and environmentally responsibly dealing with the part of your footprint that's currently unavoidable. Which with the best will in the world, you can do all the things that you can do that are within your grasp and within your reach. But there's potentially always going to be a part of your footprint that's still there, and to responsibly balance that whilst continuing to work towards reducing that wherever possible. It means you start to get that number lower and lower and lower, and all you have to balance is a lower number. So it's that's a great way of actually working towards environmentally responsibly taking your journey to net zero. So yeah, I love that. Has it done much in terms of the conversations that you're having around with clubs and sponsors and the members, or even the team? Is it something that everyone's aware of, do you think?
Yeah, it's something that's brought more benefits, and it actually all came out of that social impact report. It's all that was the first year that we mentioned anything about the environment, about our recycling, about some of the bits like converting the floodlights to LED, for example. The little measures that we've taken, we've put that in there. From that, quite a few different conversations have happened. Obviously, the engagement with Neutral Carbon Zone was helped us with the actual process part of it, and got us on that, sort of put us in the right direction to get to where we are, and had that expertise and knowledge to sort of get the certification across. We've also had quite a few different bits through there that have come out, so just putting it out there that we are now carbon neutral. Other positive conversations happen. We've actually been put down as one of the first clubs in the country to access some new funding through the FA which is with Eon, to fit some solar panels. So we're literally just waiting for an install date for those, and that really put us at the top of the bill. And the whole concept of the social impact report, we were one of the first to get this bit of funding with the FA to sort of manage and balance that. So we want to be the first. We want to keep pushing boundaries. We want to keep moving the club forward. And again, go back to the very start. If we can push the club forward, we can push the town forward, and we can improve that civic pride that often gets knocked down quite a lot in our town.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say other clubs could learn from your experience? Is this something that they should be looking at doing because it's easier than you initially thought, or is it what advice would you give to other clubs?
I'd definitely advise to reach out. So we're very open to supporting other clubs to get to this. Again, football is quite fortunate because the FA have really sort of ramped up their support and understanding with different bits that they can support on as well. So there is quite a lot of bits out there for football clubs now. Energy costs, everyone knows where that's gone, and probably where it's going to keep going. So I think the tangible benefits of understanding it, if you start this game in the next 4 or 5 years, you probably then have a much bigger gap to sort of catch up with, and you're going to make the task harder. There's so many little daft things that can be done. We've often used like reusable cups, disposable cups on match day, and we've been toying with the idea of going to reusable ones, which sounds great, but are you going to wash 2,000 cups on a match day? Imagine the energy cost of that and the consumption. So again, just by putting it out there, we've managed to find a supplier who they basically create biodegradable cups that have got no plastic in them, and if you throw them on the ground within 12 months, they've just disintegrated. There's another tiny little step that the cup itself, I think, costs half a penny more than what we're currently using. That's a decision that we're going to make to make our football club better and reduce litter and reduce waste and whatnot. And that's just one small example. But if you've got the mindset to try and do that, then you'll be able to achieve these things, no doubt.
Oh yeah, without doubt at all. I think. I mean, I would imagine the expectations changing as well. Are you feeling a greater expectation from a leadership perspective as to what clubs should be doing? Is that something that's you're starting to feel that come through?
No, I wouldn't say that actually. No, I don't think there's an expectation. I think you pretty much you control your own destiny there. I think I'd say society probably there's now more of an expectation of people are understanding of. I mean, our Bromsgrove District Council's commercial waste team that we work with, they've just introduced food waste for us, which again is another part of it, and they manage all of our waste statistics and how much we recycle and where that goes to create energy for XYZ, and it's quite a detailed thing. So they've been really helpful in again helping us to. There is an impact. There's no doubt about it. So how can we best manage that? And we've got some really really good people that help us to do so.
Oh, fabulous! Well, the one thing that always impresses me is that you guys are certainly wanting to lead rather than follow, and actually not wait, and are forging ahead, which is great to see. That the work, has that helped strengthen the reputation of the club, do you think, and the way people view it?
Oh yeah, massively, like ridiculous. Yeah, I like to think we are seen as one of the big drivers in non-league football. And it started from the very beginning. I've read non-league football at the moment is on such a high. Football at the moment is on such a high, and people's expectations are changing from a customer perspective, from a service perspective. Numbers have gone through the roof for spectators across pretty much every division in non-league football. So to be now seen as, I believe, one of the leaders in the way we operate and whatnot. It's exactly where we're trying to be, and it is about just raising the profile of the club. I mean, only this morning there was an article published in FC Business, which is a big national publication. That I've picked up the story, and I've ran something with that. So if we can keep raising the profile of the football club, keep doing more that we do through the community, bigger gates, bigger. That's how we're going to grow our club, and if we can grow our club, we'll grow our town.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's so nice to hear that, because it's showing that sustainability, and you touched on this before, it isn't just about the environmental impact or the ethical side of things. It's commercially it has an advantage, and it's if you can grow the club and grow the extent of what it can offer, then that has a value to everyone else as well. So it's I love that, and I think it's great to see that that's the process that you're following. I think now that you've taken this step and you've understood what your footprint is, and you're clearly taking action about it, where do you want to build from here? What's next for the club?
At the moment, we as a general rule, we're just carrying on with trying to grow our footprint within the town. We've recently there was a local charity that operated a youth centre, youth club building that was effectively going bust. That we've managed to sort of take the reins on now, and that's added to our education that we deliver. We do quite a lot of education piece. We've got a big send education provision for post-16s, where we partner with Heart of Birmingham Vocational College, and they effectively run all their sports and programs, and now they do like a general program as well. So that's enabled us to grow that. We've now reached out into lots and lots of different schools, doing lots of alternative provision for learners, loads more holiday camps, not even just in Redditch now, around the surrounding areas. And we're just going to keep getting the tentacles out and growing what we can do to, keep driving the match day experience, keep driving the quality of the service that we provide, keep driving the match day attendances. I think for our men's team, this is the third year in a row that we've beat our previous match day attendance, which was at the time the best the club's ever had. So we're going to keep driving that. Our women's team, again, attendances have been brilliant this year. So, we just keep growing. And we did it from the start. My tagline constantly at the start was grow the club, grow the club, grow the club. And that hasn't really changed. There's so much opportunity for us to continue to deliver more in the town. And we're going to keep scoping out those opportunities.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. So, looking back on this period for the club, what do you hope it's going to be remembered for, in years and years and to come?
My honest answer, I hope it's not remembered. I hope this is the foundation bit. I think the more interesting things, once we've got the foundations in place, that'll be the exciting stuff. I think at the moment we're investing in the foundations. I think so many football clubs, success is deemed as winning games and winning promotion, which is great. But I've said this numerous times, if you want your team to get promoted, your club's got to get promoted, and you've got to have the infrastructure and the things in place to make sure that when you get there, you can stay there. You can have a flash in the pan big push, but if the foundation is in place, you won't. So my hope is the last few years won't be remembered at all, because there's exciting and sexy stuff still to come.
I love that. That's excellent. That's a great answer. Like I said, the fact that you're so passionate about what you're doing and you're embracing it as part of the whole approach is really refreshing and great to see. And I like, how, for instance, you had your launch where you announced the achievement of carbon neutrality, but you had all your partners there as well. It was something that everybody was involved with, and members of the community were there. So that was really great to see. I mean, if you can sum it up in terms of what this means to you personally as a leader, in terms of what you're doing and where you're going. I know that's probably a difficult ask, but I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Apologies for that.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to that event. I mean, when we did the announcement, we invited lots of different people, because it's not my achievement and it's not Redditch United's achievement. It's the achievement of everyone who's part of the club and locally, people that have supported us. And so, to get to this point, we needed to lean on lots of different organisations of people. So we celebrated it in that way. For me personally, it's very humbled, because again, it's not my achievement. We've had so many people that have helped us get to this point. So, it might be my photo in the article here and there, but actually it's about making sure that everyone does understand that they've been part of it, and they'll be part of it going forward by, in the way that they act, in the way they dispose of waste or whatever it might be, switching off light switches when they need to be or whatever it is, and that might be something that they take home or they take to their organisation. So it's about making sure that if you're celebrating the achievement with these people that have got you there, it's their achievement too. And we wanted that to ring true. And I think for so many people that's been the case, and they've took photos and shared it on their own social media, whether it's personal or company ones. It is their achievement too, and that's something that the football club's far bigger than me. And I'm a custodian that won't be here forever, and hopefully the football club will be. So if the club's going to move forward and keep progressing, it's got to be. It's not about mine, and it's my massive ultimate bugbear at the moment in modern day football. Where's this term owner come from? Like, I've never heard of a football owner until about 20 years ago, and now everyone's an owner, and you don't own football. I'm very, very clear on, like, no one will ever call me an owner. That's weird. You don't own football. No one owns football. But the modern world, football clubs are owned by states and sheikhs, and it's a weird world to be in. But certainly at our level, that's not the case. And if you ever have the mindset that you're the owner, then you've taken the ownership of the club away from everybody else. And I'm trying to firmly push it back, because if you're going to achieve anything, you're going to achieve it with lots and lots of people.
I think that's so true and so apparent as well. Like when we've been to see you at the club, and my just my engagement with the members of the team and members of the staff, everyone feels part of it. It is, and everyone's very positively wanting to support and make sure that what you're doing is can be done and is successful. So yeah, it's clearly coming across. So I think what you're saying is absolutely true, and we are just custodians of where we currently are, and we play a role in its in the bigger picture. So I love that. I think what's clear is that sustainability is something that's so wide-reaching, and from a leadership perspective, it's about the intent, it's the credibility, and about being willing to take responsibility for the role that you play within your community as well. That's coming across to me very strongly. But unfortunately, we're coming towards the end. But listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the pod. It's a pleasure to be supporting Redditch United's journey to net zero as well, and thanks again for being a great guest, and I'm sure this won't be the only time we'll have you on the pod.
No, appreciate your support. That's what's got us here, to get that that sort of focused attention on how we achieve it. We wouldn't have had a clue without you, so we've got there now, and we'll see if we can continue banging the drum and making improvements moving forward.
Yeah, fabulous. I'm sure we will. Absolutely. Thanks for listening to Emission Possible. If today's episode sparked an idea or presented a challenge, please reach out and let us know. Subscribe, share, and stay tuned, because net zero is absolutely possible.